Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Clueless Capitalist, where we discover interesting startups, interview founders, and help you become less clueless with angel investing. My name is Razi.
And I'm Osman, and welcome to the Clueless Capitalists.
In this episode, we are going to be speaking to Secha. Secha is a startup from Indonesia providing move-in ready houses at no extra cost for renovation. Joining us is the founder and CEO of Secha, Josephine. Welcome to the episode, Josephine.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
All right, so as always, I need you to share your pitch deck, run us through it, and then afterwards we'll go into questions.
So like Razi mentioned that Secha Home is a property technology based in Indonesia, especially in the Jakarta area. So we are home improvement solutions providing move-in ready houses at no extra cost for renovations. So what is the biggest change that is happening that we exist today is that Indonesia is experiencing a surge in demand for residential homes. Because why? Because there's a rapid urbanizations, population's growth in major cities such as in Jabodetabek area. So it's in Jakarta and the larger area in the suburbs. But the sad truth is like there is no unqualified supply because there is a gap between the supply and demand. So most of the houses that are available in the market now is aging and requires a lot of costs to have a renovations to make it move-in ready. And the biggest effect that is happening now is there is a backlog of 12.7 million housing units in the Jabodetabek area itself. So that's how big the supply and demand gap with residential home itself. And the biggest problem that we see the customer trends that today's consumers, because all of the rapid changes, the instant lifestyle that they want move-in ready houses, but no one wants to actually put in the renovation costs to make it move-in ready from the agents, from the home buyers, and also the home sellers itself. And now that what's happening in the market, we divide into two problems, which is on the economic aspect is like, for example, there's a house of $100,000. You need to put a refurbishment cost or renovation cost of 12% from the budget, and then like there's an agent cost on top of that, making that a $135,000 just to buy a house. And there's a tedious and fragmented process. You buy the house, but making it move-in ready, it requires like 6 months, and you have to go to the furniture, you have to go to interior, and to go the contractor. And what we are offering in the solutions is very simple. We want to transform how the process of getting move-in ready houses, streamlining the process, and integrate the home improvement process, the price, the process into the home purchase flow. So one click, it's done. So in our platform, it's very simple that you can just see the house and before, after, and you can just pick and then buy it. And then we will take care of the rest with the agents, contractors, and all of the furniture. So it's very simple. We cut off from like 6 months in order to make your house move-in ready into just 3 months. So that's how the efficiency that we offer. And what is the promised land from Secha Home is very simple. The two key propositions that we offer for buyers is what if the buyers could get a customized and renovated homes at the that meets that preference at an attractive price. So the simple is cutouts from potential buyers. Just go to Secha Home and then you get your move-in ready house. So there are three key propositions that we have. We have a simplified and integrated process, customized and renovated houses at what you want, and then saving costs for home buyers. So when we see from the previous one that you have to, for $100,000, you have to like put it $135,000 to make it move-in ready. With us, we cut out like 30% markup, but it's already taken care of. So there is a $5,000 per house optimization by using Secha. And how we make money is very simple. It's very straightforward that from the 30% markup, we take from the house, but we already take care of the admin, we already take care of the agent fee, the licensing, and then also the renovation itself. And we gain profit from 12% margin. So this is the very simple illustrations of our unit economics. So when we sell the property value of $50,000, the project cost is around $6,000, and then agent commission, because like we take care of the agent commissions, means that our gross margin is $6,000. So now that on the average house in our house bracket is around $50,000 until $300,000, because that's a fast moving one, we can get average revenue per house is 15,000 US dollar and gain profit per house of 6,000. And the market size is quite huge. So we only touch from the Indonesia, we try to like target first in the Jabodetabek area because that's the most density of the populations and the very fast moving on the residential homes. So in every month, there are like 60K unit per month listed transactions, means that over the years it's 720. Make our market size in only Jabodetabek area is 10.3 billion. So that's how big is the market. And this is our go-to market strategy. We don't really have sales teams. We are only a team of 6 people. But by focusing on the Jabodetabek area, that we target the most search area, and we also with our 30% markup, because like in the average markup, even before Secha Home, even before the home improvement solutions, already 31% from the agents. So 30% is something that's more attractive when people see the houses. And we acquire the customers from working with the agent partners. So we go to the property agencies, the traditional one in Jabodetabek area, means that their client becomes our client. So that makes our client acquisitions or customer acquisition quite low. And that's more effective than going to the high cost of like digital marketing. And we go to the direct listing acquisition from B2B assets. We work with like the primary homes like Ciputra and then like Sinar Masland to handle their property and sell it at our price. So that's mostly our go-to-market strategy. And this is so far the traction. Secha Home has been in operation since 2023, and we start commercials in August 2023. So it's less than 6 months that we've been commercials. But in the last 6 months, we got 12 home deals. And now we already have more than 100 partner agents in Jabodetabek area. And in the home listing pipelines, with the listings that we acquire from the agents and the homeowners directly is 1.8. And now we are having a run rate of a revenue of 10,000 per month from the house that we sell. And the competitive landscape is we are the first company in Indonesia to provide move-in ready houses that can be customized at an attractive price. So here's the 2 key value propositions that we have is customizations and also the affordability. So now that mostly people go to the marketplace, they just go to the agents, but Secha is actually making end-to-end process. So in Indonesia, even in Southeast Asia, we don't really have a direct competitors, but the indirect competitors is mostly in the marketplace and the agent itself. And in terms of the impact, that we are helping the low to mid-income homeowners to get buyers at a fair price. So we are targeting the SDG number 10 and 8 because we are not only helping and making impact for the homeowners, because sometimes they were forced to sell the house in 30% less than the market price because the condition is not really good, and then they don't really have money or they don't want to like put extra cost for that. So we help them to sell at a fair price in the market price, 30% or 40% higher, which is fair proposition for them and for the agent itself, because our value proposition is making the house livable faster. We help the agent to generate leads faster and close deals. Usually when they list the homes, it needs like around 6 months, but with us, we can make it 3 months faster. And this is the people behind Secha. We are the complete team to provide move-in ready houses for everyone. Me, myself, I'm a second-time founder. Before that, I was in the edtech industry and scaled the company into the seed round. And I have more than 4 years of in a consulting experience, mostly in the public affairs, lobbying background in the infrastructure. So that's where I get the whole exposure to the like the infrastructures, housing, and also the most of the project constructions. And here I have Chandra with me, handling the operations. He's coming from the construction family. So he's the one who's like helping the home acquisitions and also the making the construction smooth and then more efficient. And I have Leo here. He's coming from the consulting background in BCG and investment banking, helping for the home valuation and all of the costs incurred within that. And we are raising for 500,000 US dollar to achieve 1 million ARR in 18 months. And most of the investment is mostly for the expansion of the area, because in the larger Indonesia, we only touch the Jabodetabek, but we want to expand to the whole Java Island to make a triple of the market size. And we want to target on the dedicated engineering team, because now that we only tackle on the property side, but we want to make a more automated on the construction as well. And means that we need to expand on the personal costs. So yeah, that's the bits of Secha Homes. I hope that everyone can get what we are trying to build here.
All right. Thank you, Josephine, for bringing us through your pitch deck. So the first question that we always start with is, what is the origin story of Secha? How did you get started?
Okay, so I think the fun fact about Secha is actually an acronym from a second chance, because like most of the time we are handling the secondhand houses and we want to give a second chance for the homes to be the next home for the next family. But it's coming from a very personal problem that when I bought my first property, my first apartment, it's just a very small one during COVID. It's a troublesome for me to just like make it livable, like the furnish itself. And when I calculate the cost, it's really, really expensive, like because really take care of the wall and then the wood panel and all this stuff. It's a very time consuming, and that is actually not helping. And it's coming from the inspirations of doing this kind of thing is coming from my family side business, because we are not in the property, but my parents love to do this kind of asset flipping, that we acquire a house at a very low price and then like put a bet on the investment to like make it, let's say, renovate it into higher price. But what I see, there is a gap between that sometimes that what we think it's good for the renovation, it's not something that the buyers want to buy. So in that sense that I get the inspiration, okay, how can we make it easier for everyone to get move-in ready houses, something that's beneficial for the homeowners, the agents, and also the home buyers at the same time. And yeah, we are also the part of Antler, so I pretty much validate the business and all of the market during my residency at Antler, Indonesia.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, so you're solving a problem that you encountered yourself, and that's something that I like to see in founders, where they solve a real problem which they encountered.
What I wanted to really understand is just really the customer journey. Maybe I didn't understand it correctly, but for me, what I'm trying to understand is, do you list the property yourself, or do you work through the property agent, and then a customer who likes a particular property would then talk to the property agent, and then they would refer you to Secha, and then Secha would customize it? Or do you list the properties on your platform, they come through that, and then as part of the pricing negotiation, they can specify what they want, and then you would work it out and give them the final price based on what they want? How does that work?
Okay, so I think I will just give a little bit of explanation of like the customer journey from they listed until they buy the house. So there are ways of listing the house. We already have the website as well, when people like the agents and the homeowners can list it directly. So it's very simple. When the agents or homeowners want to list the house with Secha Home, they would just like only need to submit like approximately 5 pictures of the living room, kitchen, bedroom, the facade of the house, and we change that into the post-renovation design based on the mood board that they choose, like for example, Japandi, minimalist, or modern luxury, in just 3 days. So that's where the technology comes from, to make it simpler, when usually you have to like go to the house, have a site visit, make a lot of things. We make the efficiency rate from the 2 weeks to do that kind of process into just 3 days. And afterwards, the agents and the homeowners can access the digital proposals. So it's like the before, after the houses, and then like also what kind of specification being changed. Like for example, we're changing the wood panel into the, let's say, another material. So the buyers would understand that what is changed, and then like what kind of the minimum requirements of the house that they get. Because most of the times, the considerations why we make this kind of thing, when we did the market interview, the market research, and then the market validations, we try to put a list of like what is the first the top 10 considerations of buyers when they see a house and they want to buy it. So that kind of the plumbing, and then like the very basic thing to make it livable, we tackle that. And then afterwards, if the buyers come to our platforms, we will directly make the service for them. So it's very simple. They like the house, they might want to like negotiate a bit on the like what kind of things to change, and then they make a down payment. And then we give them like 7 days to make a changes. Like for example, they want to change the color of the wall, but something that should be under the cost, like the 30% markup. And the second way is like when we get the leads from the agents, they would refer us directly to Secha Home, because either way, the registered agents, we also have the registered agents in every agencies. They have a code number. They just like submit the code number, and then we will handle it for them. So there are two ways, like directly to our website, to our platform, or going the leads from the agent. And the process is the same. You do the down payment, and we will try to like make a 7 days to like change a bit, finalize, and then we start the construction.
Okay, so let me ask a different question, but kind of related. I look on your website, I see a property that I like. Would I be able to see the different style options from those 5 pictures that you've mentioned as a prospective buyer? Or do I need to say, I like this property, now I want to look at the different options? At what stage do I start engaging?
So for the first iterations, it's pretty much that we only go for one mood board when they see it. So they can only make the request to see the other options when they make the booking fee. So booking fee is like to tag the property. It's refundable before they do the down payment. So that's how they say it. Because like if we now that we try to like make it into like, let's say one house, and then we have 5 mood boards, it's going to take a lot of a cost in the house incur, like for the designer and also the software itself. So that's the first thing that we want to try it. But if there's a more customer wanting to have that kind of propositions, that with something that we can integrate to the website and the platform.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking is because in Singapore and in the UK, if I buy a property, the renovation cost is usually not available under the mortgage, right? So if I buy a property for $100,000 and it's going to cost me $35,000 of renovation, I need to get a home renovation loan, which is not part of the mortgage. So what I'm trying to understand is, let's say with all of your fees included, it's $130,000 now. Is that the property price so that I can apply for a mortgage for a value of $130,000, or is it still the same? I need to buy the property and then take a home renovation loan to do this.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much the same that Indonesia before that. So why we exist is like we try to like integrate that price of the renovations, like the additional 30%, like 300,000 into the home price. So we tried with the first 12 properties. It's actually helping the appraisal for the mortgage, because like the point is just like beside like making it more efficient, we want to make it easier for the interest rate. So they get like one mortgage, one interest rate for the house that is already renovated. We tried with the several banks, and it's actually making the appraisal higher, because like, oh, this is like we have the plan of the house, and it's just like comparable to like the houses in that market. It's something that's more attractive. So that's another value proposition too. That's why we put it on the affordability, just one applications, payment, and then that's it for the rest of their life.
Yeah, thank you for that. And in terms of the metrics that you're measuring for the stage that you're at, what type of metrics are you measuring to measure success?
So in terms of the economic units, is of course like how many houses, how many home deals that we can make. But another one that we track is because like something that's also in terms of because like it is one-time purchase. So in terms of LTV, it's not something that's very long. It's not a recurring one. But in terms of retention that we are tracking is from the agent's partner, because like how they submit and then the conversion, that's something that we can track. And also that's also because like in Secha Home itself, that we are quite flexible, that we can go like monetize on the agents at the later stage. We can go like having an upselling of the additional service for the home buyers to like make it the LTV longer, or just go to like the homeowners that is like having like luxurious one because they need, let's say, the selling propositions. So that's what we track is like the home deals, the number of home deals on the quarterly basis, because like our sales cycle for like one house is like vary from like the fastest one's 1 month, but the longer one is like the 3 months. And then like agents taking us to like our platform and the first iterations of the first years of Secha Home existence.
And in terms of the number of units that are currently being transacted in general, are you able to scale to address that entire market, or what challenges are you going to see as the demand picks up for your service?
So now that because like decision points for someone buying a residential homes, the landed one is quite, let's say, it takes like 2 weeks for them to like, okay, I want to buy it. And then like the market, because like Indonesia currently we have an elections. So people are a bit like holding on, even though that we have an incentive that the government is introducing tax incentive for the homes, like they just like cut off like the tax from the house. But it's something that is not incentivized because like people is just like really afraid during the political conditions. So we go like double down on the apartment because that's faster, because like that's in the go-to market strategy that we plug in our service to like several apartments like Ciputra that is owned by Ciputra, like the big names. So that's something that make it faster, because like even though people is like holding back buying the rest in the landed house, but there's still an appetite to buy the apartment. So that's something that can still make a faster cash flow while waiting for like the big fish in the landed house. Like apartment, that something that is like maybe slightly cheaper than like, or like just like than the landed houses, but it's something that we can have like it can prolong our runway by 4 months.
All right.
You mentioned this
Jabodetabek. Yeah.
Yes. What areas does that cover? Like I know it's a short form for something for more. So it's Jakarta. What other places?
Jakarta, Bogor, Depok, Tangerang, and Bekasi. So that's like Jakarta, and then like mostly like people the suburb area where just like the density going to Jakarta.
I mean, I always on Instagram, I always see these amazing pictures of Bogor and how people buy this like really nice homes, hill and whatnot. But coming back to increasing the lifetime value of the customers of Secha, right? I was just curious to know, like for the renovation cost, so you work with agents and then there's the renovation contractor, right? So is that Secha's own, or do you work with a few partners?
So for now that we still handle it with our Secha's own contractors, but when we hit like 15 projects per month, that's where the part that we need partners. But we already have partners. We can just like make it, just like put it in them. Like so, Secha is also, other than making a agent community, we also have contractors community. So pretty much that's how we maintain the balance of between the supply and demand at a time point.
And then also was wondering, right, while you said there's a 30% markup, certain homeowners, they want slightly more premium kind of fittings and finishings, and there'll be some who want like a mid-tier, some want really budget. So does that mean that when you're doing more premium kind of finishings, your markup becomes higher, or is it always maintained at 30%?
We always maintain on 30%. That's why like we give like a 7 days after they make a down payment. So because like there are also homeowners that like this kind of, they buy us not because like only the price, but because they like that they don't have to deal with the contractors by themselves. Because like the other hassle, like when you want to renovate, when you want to furnish, most of the interior designs or architect, they charge you per square meter, and that's really really insane with the price. And also like they don't give you like exactly the mood board. You have to pay 20% upfront for the design, even though it's refundable. So that's where we try to like make it simpler for them. But in the premium side, that they sometimes have extra budget, so that's where we calculate. Or sometimes that they just, because we also have like other on the construction side that we already have like the price per room. So that's where like they can like always, we have the formula, so it's easily like just plug in. So the vision of like the part of the post purchase is like you can just like renovate on, or just like put, you know, like that kind of cost as simple as playing the Sims. You just like plug it. So that's the vision, the product visions for next year.
Okay. I was just thinking also about increasing the lifetime value of these customers, right? Like in Singapore, the reason why our buildings and our homes all look so new is because the Building Construction Authority here mandates that every 10 years you need to give your building exterior a fresh coat of paint. So I was just wondering, maybe in future, what Secha could do is that once you have all of these homes that you have sold via the platform, you could have, like maybe after year 5, you could, you know, say, hey, look, we can do a repaint of your walls or repaint of your exterior. Maybe another service, depending on, for the landlord homes, if there's landscape, maybe it's another service that you could do, like providing them landscaping services, things that could possibly keep the relationship on for longer, and then you could try to sell them things beyond just the 30% markup initially.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting, let's say, suggestion, and something that has been in our top of mind, but we just want to like which angle, because the good thing about like we take care of their home even from the pre-purchase, like listing and then making the design, is like we already built the trust. And in Indonesia itself, I don't know in another country, when you already like want contractors, you will just like use them for everything. So that kind of thing that is like, we want to build the stickiness first, and then like something that we can have like upsell of everything. Because now that our LTV is like $6,000, we want to like increase it, like, and then for the year 5, what can we do with the house? So that's something that also can work with the apartment, like the refreshment of the paint like every year, because like in apartment it's something that's like slightly faster for like the wall to be, you know, not really good. So something that the package that maybe we can like add on if you top up with platform. So that kind of a buyer journey until you pass the house to the kids, that's something that's I think would be amazing for like to extend the lifetime value of such a home.
And then I was curious also, like, since it is sort of a platform and you're forming partnerships with contractors and with agents, right? So in terms of your own team size, as you grow, you wouldn't really need scale up the team as much. Like, you could explain to me like how, if you were to increase your revenue, how do you see your team size changing?
I think the good thing about having this extended sales team, which is like the property agents, is like every time I want to hit a certain revenue, like higher and higher per month, I don't need to put extra head costs. So because like already we just need like one person to like be the account manager for the agents, because it's pretty much very simple that we just have a weekly meeting with every agents, because like we divide the agent community into cohort, so we can understand like which cohort is performing better. So we just like need like one account manager and probably just an intern of data analyst to like track that kind of retentions, which agent is performing better and which one that is like the cohort that is performing better, like, or the one the top seller. So even when I expand to the whole Java island, I just need to like map out like, okay, which part that the group of region that would be needed. So I just need to like, for example, that I would expand to like 5 areas, I just need like extra 5 people. It's different from like another business or another company that when you have to like have 10 sales teams to get a certain revenue. So that's pretty much how we hack the growth. And because like most of the time the property tech, let's say company in Indonesia, they try to get the agent commissions. So I think we also have that kind of leverage to have more trust from the agent. So we would be like the top of mind of the agent. So that's how we approach on the team. Now we are just a team of 6 people and we are okay with that.
Just in general, if you were to try and fix anything right now, what would you try and fix with what you're doing? Either the company or the market, what is actually holding you back?
I think it's more on the market. Now that, of course, that everyone is asking about like, why don't you go with the more advanced technology that would be more scalable and doesn't need like a lot, this kind of like pre-purchase, purchase, and post-purchase, we still have to be a bit manual. So because like when people is buying a house, it's one of the biggest investment in their lives. We tried with like, we just build a platform without a person that is like, you know, operating that and like no like really human touch, which has been a question from like most of the venture capitals. They're asking like, why don't you just like build the technology upfront? But the thing is like the market would not use it. And most of the times the ones coming is like, you know, like 50 years old mother, they would not be able to like use the platform digitally. They would find someone to chat or call through WhatsApp. So that's the thing that we want to fix, like how they can like, let's say, be a more digital, not like always digital, because we understand that buying a house is something that is a very risky. So we try to shift like, rather than like just focusing on the flow of the market that we cannot really go full in digital, it's just like, how can our platform make the house purchase more secure and more trusted? So I think that's the thing that we really want to fix, because like in terms of the company, in terms of the technology, in terms of the business, there's always room to grow. There's always like iterations every month, but the market, that's something that we have to like really try to like find a win-win solutions in order for our product to work and the customer to be happy as well.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, because you know, both me and Razi, we don't live in Jakarta, we don't live in Indonesia, we don't understand the unique problems that there are. Hence the reason why we're asking those types of questions. I mean, from some of the experiences that we've had with talking to founders in places like Bangladesh, for example, the issues that they had was just around mobile penetration. Mobile penetration is high, but smartphone penetration relatively low. And therefore, and even the smartphone penetration that you had, they were usually low-end phones, which didn't accommodate like the higher end apps. So there were all those particular challenges, and then the digital literacy of the people that their target market was. So there are all those kind of challenges that we wouldn't be aware of coming in as an investor from Singapore, because we typically have high smartphone penetration rates, high penetration rates of high-end mobile phones, and therefore we don't see those types of particular problems. And we're really curious about those particular nuances and challenges and what would hold you back. In terms of the types of investors that you're looking for, I mean, you're raising $500,000, isn't it? And what type of investors are you looking to have on your cap table? Like if you had the perfect angel investor or the perfect VC, ideally, what would they look like?
I think in terms of the investment, learning from my experience before, like building the companies, that of course, like, that kind of founders just like need that kind of cash runway, because the runway is short, that they would just take any kind of investors. But now that I'm really, let's say, cautious, because I think like when you get everyone has money, angel investor, VCs, but when they don't have the same visions on how you grow, that they just want you, okay, you have to grow 10x, so you have to burn money. And then when things go wrong, that's something that's always another problem. So I would preferably find someone who has the same visions, because that's where we can grow together. Like, for example, there's like might be a VC or investor that, okay, you have to grow 10x, you have to build a digital platform, but it doesn't work in Indonesia. So that kind of alignment that I would really want to have, because that's where we can like make more money in that sense, and not just like, that kind of the era of the high growth is not something within the horizon. So someone who would not only understand the market, but someone who would have the same alignment. Of course, like as a company, we are not really rigid on like where the vision will go. We would also like consult that with the one that is investing in our company, but it should be the same alignment. So it takes two to tango. You cannot just like, go both ways and then like not working on anything. So yeah, I think pretty much that kind of a bracket or like the investment that I would love to have in this company.
Okay. And you've recently come through the Bombillo acceleration program. How's your experience on that program?
I think from like more like I've been in like several accelerators, this one is very hands-on. Like the thing is like most of the time like accelerators, you just focus on like giving masterclass and you don't really see the progress. But here like the Bombillo program is making us founders to go back to the fundamentals, because like we can be in the hustle bustle of running the business, fundraising, and then you just forget about the fundamentals. Even like it helps me to see like, oh, my market size is even bigger than I calculated before, because like there are like several factors, like the small things that we sometimes overlook. So I think it's a very great program that you become like very meticulous, but at the same time can be on the fast-paced growth.
Okay.
So earlier you mentioned in one of the slides you were talking about the 60,000 units being sold. That's on a monthly basis, or is that on an annual basis?
It's a monthly basis in the area that we are targeting. So making like an average on the yearly basis, it could go up to like 1,000 units sold.
You mean 700,000, 720,000? Right?
Yeah, 700 to like 1,000. It's just an average like the 60 from the area that we let's say we estimate, and we also have the data.
Like 60,000, how many percent do you want to are you planning to capture? 1%, 5%, 10%?
I think 10% is something that is still let's say manageable. But if we want to go to the optimistic, we can get like 30%, but it has to be like a lot of money burned for that. So like I think the safest one is getting 10% out of it.
And actually, I'm still not very clear. What's the incentive for the agent to sell the home via Secha or to go through Secha?
So for the agents that in the cost propositions, the unit economics, that we have like up to 5% commissions for the agents. So on top of they are getting the commissions from selling the house, they get the commission from our 30% markup. So instead of like cutting the commissions, which like most of the prop tech or bank does, we add more incentive on the first iteration. So that's why like I think for agents, the key drivers for them to like work with you is mostly incentives. So that's where we hit and lock it. So that's why like it's easier for us to like get like more than agents to be with us in less than 3 months through that kind of incentive.
Just speaking, since Osman said we don't live in Jakarta and we don't have an understanding of the Indonesian property landscape, right? So in Singapore, you do have some like celebrity property agents. So celebrity property agents would be like former national footballers, former Singapore Idol winners, even influencers. So for example, they make really good videos when they come to showcasing their properties. Such good videos that people start following them on Instagram. So I'm just curious, like, is it the same in Indonesia? And if so, are you courting any one of these celebrity sort of agents to get them to be like a Secha ambassador or to sell via Secha?
Now in Indonesia, you're pretty much like the property agents is not something that is like coming from celebrity, not yet. But I think that would be an inspiration from us because like most of the time that the stigma or like the perspective of agents is just like someone from the low middle income. Unless that they're selling the very luxurious property in like the CBD. It's mostly like the old players of the property agents. So someone that, give a TED talk, like that kind of things. But we haven't really seen like the move on, like the celebrity agents doing that because most of the times that they just there to like have the home viewing or the show unit because they look good, but they never come to like becoming the property agents. So I think that's something that could be an inspiration for us to like make that kind of a ambassador from like the influencer because I haven't really sure why we never have that in Indonesia. Maybe like because of the conversion rate is not too big, but it's something that's worth trying, I guess.
The other question that I had was, the one thing I've seen in China is that they sometimes have these celebrity live streamers. They go on live stream and they sell properties. There's one lady called Liu Tao. She sold 5 properties worth 1 million Singapore dollars in like the first 10 seconds of a live stream, right? So then, because TikTok is big in Indonesia, so I'm wondering whether, again, that's something that do people do that in Indonesia where they are showing you like a property on a live stream and trying to sell that on live stream? Just some ideas thinking about how Secha could possibly do that.
I think in Indonesia particularly that kind of a TikTok live and then like the influencer has not been touched to the property. I think because like they are not really sure how to do it, but it's something that is like really worth to try because like now that it's different in Bangladesh, like digital literacy in Indonesia is higher, it's even better. But in terms of the new adoption of market, like on how they buy property before and now, it's something that is a bit of a problem, and we need like another 2 years to make them like buy that through digital. But it's something that's worth to try because like most of the time the TikTok live from the live streaming from the house, it's only for like the home viewing, or they just like showing that the before after design. But I've never seen, even my team has never been seen that kind of like, selling a 1 million SGD property in TikTok live. But it's just like something that could be worth to try because the TikTok effect in Indonesia is really, really big. Like the netizen, they say. So something that could be interesting.
Well, this is completely not angel investing related, but another interesting one is, so one thing I've seen with the property agents here is people love ghost stories, and Indonesia as well. Like everyone, Indonesia has a lot of like really interesting ghost related, or like there was this program I used to watch called Dua Dunia. People love that. People love ghost stories. They love ghost stories here as well. So some of the property agents, what they do is they even tell you ghost stories from some of the properties that they have dealt with. And those go really viral and people start following the agent. And then every once in a while, they'll tell a ghost story from their experience. And people, that makes that agent like a celebrity in his own right. And people start following him and they want to buy a property through him. So maybe another possible angle that you guys could consider, or maybe it's a possible angle for people in Indonesia who are property agents to look at.
Yeah, I think in Indonesia, they have that kind of very high trust in high belief in the superstitious things. So there's this one property that we sold. It's because like it's a very old property. It's a bit of a, and they said, the agent said, oh, someone died there. And then like the home buyer was like really scared. So we actually over the package, okay, if you buy this house and make the deal within the week, that we will call someone to like just clean the house. So I think that's something that we never really think before you say that we experienced that. but we never really think to make it a content, because like, oh, they actually buy the house after like we offer that not only renovation, but we will call someone to like cleanse the house from the ghosts or like bad spirits. So
Yeah.
I think that would be an interesting angle to like make it viral, I guess.
Yeah.
You've talked about your partnerships with the property agents, and then we talked very briefly around the mortgage rates, and I'm trying to wrap it all up. Do you have the agreements with the banks? So you've got both sides of the equation addressed, or not?
Now we try to like onboard the bank partners for the mortgage because it makes it easier, like, and then we try to like find the deal package. So far we are working with one of it's a BRI, because they have like quite interesting let's say interest rate for the mortgage, and the other one is like with BTN, because they have like this kind of a very long tenor of the payment of the mortgage. So we try to like after we settle like with the agents and then like the big players and construction, this year we're starting to acquire like more banks to be partnered with Secha, because that also like one of the banks is I think that was with like Bank Danamon. They are the one who appraised it, and they find it interesting to like just like integrate the renovation to the home purchase. So if we can like introduce that and to the other banks and make a proposition out of it, it would be more interesting, because now we get like the referral from the agents and also from the banks.
Okay. And now just shifting gears a little bit in terms of what you're raising and the like. You're raising 500k. What's the minimum ticket that you'd accept from an angel investor?
The minimum that we set is in the 25k.
25k, right. And where are you incorporated? Are you incorporated only in Indonesia or in Singapore or Delaware?
We are only incorporated in Indonesia, but if there's like one of like the investment that they require in Singapore, that we can easily set up there as well. Because like the fund that the first one is coming from Antler, and mostly it's from the Singapore holding. So we can build that kind of things as well, if required.
Right, if required. I mean, I've never really invested in an Indonesian company. So what are the type of things that we would need to be aware as foreign investors if we were to write you a check?
It's usually the ownership, like the law, because like there is a certain the maximum percentage of ownership from the foreign entities. So usually someone investing in Indonesia is just like we built the investment holding in Singapore. That's what I did with the previous company, because that's easier for both parties. Because like in Indonesia you have to think about the tax and all this stuff. So it's easier for us to like set up the holding in Singapore, and it's easier for the agents, for the angel investors. So that's really the deal proposition for now.
Okay, but because you're currently only incorporated in Jakarta, my question would be, would you be able to accept a check from a Singaporean or an American investor at the moment?
Yeah, we are able to have that. And usually what I did was just like, it's either because like in Indonesia there's a certain restrictions. That's why like the point why it's safer to like have it in Singapore, and setting up the holding in Singapore only takes 3 days. In Indonesia it could take like 2 weeks. So that's easier like to accept the check from the angel investor coming from like Singapore or America for now.
Okay. Right. So what you're saying to me is that if you were to accept a check, you would be setting up a holding entity in Singapore to enable that investment.
Yeah, because I mean the cost, rather than like doing like all of the paperwork in Indonesia, it's cheaper to like set up there, and that's the most preferred way. Because like I've been dealing with this kind of thing, and they would ask like, okay, would it be possible to like set up the one in Singapore? Because that's safer as well. Because like in Indonesia there's a certain let's say investment negative list, and then like the restrictions, that's something like even though that we have like a growing startup and a growing economy, but that kind of restriction has not been lifted up. So sometimes that's the thing that is easier for us to like just set up the win-win solutions in Singapore for now.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we probably need to do as a separate video, right, Razi, where we talk about the nuances for Indonesian investment, because we've experienced some of the complications that you can get with Indian investments, and we haven't really talked about that either.
Yeah, because I think in Indonesia that I can talk about this because I was coming from law school before like being this, so I understand that kind of the regulations, and they haven't changed because there's a certain negative investment list, and when you, let's say, put the money, you can be like having like a certain penalty. So usually you just go to Singapore for the safer one, because in the previous company, even like Antler, they say like they made it not investment but as a C-end loan. So that's something that would be some sort of like trespassing like the whole regulations to make it easier. But for now, the nuance is really not favorable for the foreign investor, to be honest, for startup. That's why like most of the, even like Ruang Guru, Gojek, they set up the holding in Singapore.
Got it. Okay.
As part of the Bond Below program, you did get investment, right? So how have they invested? As part of the Bond Below program, you are getting investment.
Yeah.
So how will they be investing?
So it's a safe note.
And the entity they're investing in is in Singapore, or is it direct into Indonesia?
Direct to like our entity in Indonesia, but as a loan. So if as a loan, that's something that the government say that, oh, it's just a loan from the foreign companies. But when you say that investment, you register that, it will be another, you will have to like deal with like 3 different parties. Someone from the tax, someone from the investment board, and then other from the legal side. So that's the thing.
Got it. And what's the valuation right now?
Our post-money valuation is at 5 million.
All right. So thank you, Josephine, for joining us for this episode. So you've heard from Josephine. She's building a very exciting startup out of Indonesia. And if you're interested in connecting with her, if you're interested in investing, do get in touch. We'll put her LinkedIn and her contact details in the description. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.